Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to All About the Joy, the private lounge. We have Rick Costa in the house. How you doing, Rick?
Oh.
And we have, as always, Cynthia Ruiz
Hi.
Lopez. I don't know why I like to say her name like that. How you guys doing? I know we're going to have a kind of, I don't want to say deep conversation, but Rick, you came in hot into the green room. So say your piece, brother. Go ahead.
No, so on my broadcast, I do two games. One of them is called Heads Up Game, and I hold up my phone away from my eyes so I can't see a word on the screen, and you guys have to give me clues to help me guess what it says on the screen.
Mhm.
The word was joy, and nobody said all about the joy. Like, nobody said all
Not
about
all
me.
about the, right.
Like, seriously? Nobody? After I said it, then they
Oh,
typed it in quick. I'm like, "Oh, yeah, it's too late now."
that's okay, but did you guess the
Right.
word? Oh,
I
that's
did.
so
I did guess it
Mind you,
anyway,
you have it like right behind you.
I know
right?
it's right. It's right there. It's okay. Not everyone from your show watches our show, but someone I know was there. She should have said it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's so cool that you got a little upset about that. I thought it was something like really, really juicy.
No, nothing juicy.
Boring. No, I'm kidding. That's a great. I love that you think they would do that. But you know what's so funny? Like people now will say joy or something, and like it'll hit me like that's the name of my show. You know, like it's my show. So well, I wanted to talk a little bit about. I mean, I'll just say straight up, Cynthia already knows part of what happened, but I'm gonna talk about a couple other things and, this is kind of me having a venting session, but I also just thought it might be helpful for other people. So on Wednesdays, I work in the morning with one client and then I work with another client in the afternoon. So it's two separate clients. None of the staff know each other, two different entities entirely. And but on Wednesday, in both separate offices, I had one of the staff members, I'll say, call me one of them called me, one of them came into the office, and both of them were like so upset about an incident that happened. And they were spoken to badly, they have too much work, and they were both crying their eyes out.
Mm.
Just like and it's been an ongoing thing for a while, right? They're just so sad and upset or whatever. But it happened on the same day. Both of these staff people are really great at what they do. They're good people. And it's just really hard for them, I guess, to function right now. And they can't take any criticism. They can't take what our boss is telling them. And by the way, our boss or the other people are wrong. They shouldn't be treating them the way they're treating them. You know what I mean? But it's the emotional kind of disintegration of being able to function that I was concerned about. And then the other day, and Cynthia knows because I called her, I had an incident with a mutual friend, and it got me so upset. And I waited a day because I knew Cynthia had just gotten back from traveling. Like, but I was like this. I was so angst about it. I was so upset about it. And I knew I wanted to talk to Cynthia. And so the following day I called her and I talked to her, and it was such a relief. And the reason why I want to talk about this is because I don't know if either of you, I know you do, but I just want to know if you want to talk about it. For me, the two individuals at work, I know I spoke to both of them. I think they're really in a state of depression.
Mhm.
And I told them I'm not a therapist. And one of them always says to me, I just need to vent. And I always like, I know you want to vent, but I'm not the person to vent it. Like, I'm not your girlfriend. And I can't take it all in. You know what I mean? Like, I know you're sad and miserable, but I don't know what else to do.
Mhm.
Mm.
And so I just feel like there's so much going on in the world right now, regardless of your political leanings, whether you are for Trump or not. Even people who are for Trump are also dealing with the outside part of this, which is the constant drama that's happening in our political atmosphere. I think that's very heavy. Hearing about plane crashes every day, hearing
Mhm.
about, people going to Guantanamo, what is it, to Gitmo, people, being fearful, people being sad, like, and then you have your own personal stuffage. So I've been really stressed and sad, and I just wanted to talk about that a little bit and see how you guys are doing, how you deal with sadness, and more importantly, when does it transfer over to depression?
Mm.
So just your thoughts.
I think it's different for everyone. I think at some point everyone does go through some form of depression. But like I said, it's different for everybody. Some people like really know how to kind of deal with it. Like some people go to therapy. Some people may just kind of isolate themselves and just kind of deal with it. Some may go to their family members, things like that, and talk about it. It's kind of hard to pinpoint certain things when
Mhm.
it's just a very broad, kind of spectrum of
There
how
is a
people deal
clinical
with it.
definition. I have a clinical definition between sadness and depression, but I think you're right. It's different for everyone, because you
Yeah,
said something to me that not only pissed me off, but it was factual. You said that is part of your PTSD. Remember, you said
yeah.
that part of your, and because I'm still in denial. Because when I think of PTSD,
Yeah.
I think of military, and I think of like quote unquote real depression, right? Like, because that's what we do. Like, I can't equate to what someone went through in war. You know what I mean? And
hmm
horrible thing.
Well, that's what I mean, though. Like, I mean, it's different for everyone. Like, to us, PTSD, like you said, is something that people deal with who are in the military, but there are different forms of it.
Well,
And
my
it's,
understanding is everyone can have PTSD, but it's triggered by something different for everyone, right? And
yeah,
then there's different levels, which is what you're talking about.
absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Let me just give the definition before we go down this road of what sadness is versus depression, just as a, whatever, like a WebMD definition. Sadness is a natural emotion that everyone experiences in response to a specific situation or event. It's typically triggered by a loss, disappointment, or other challenging circumstances. The characteristics are feeling down or blue, tearfulness, and temporary drop in mood. The duration can be short-lived, and it can be tied to a particular situation or event. And then depression, the definition for depression is a mental health disorder characterized by persistent and intense feelings of sadness, hopelessness, and a lack of interest or pleasure in activities. It goes beyond the normal fluctuations in mood. Characteristics are prolonged sadness or low mood, changes in appetite, sleep patterns, fatigue, difficulty concentrating, feelings of worthlessness or guilt, and sometimes thoughts of self-harm or suicide. It can last for weeks, months, or even years, and is not necessarily linked to a specific event or situation. So there is
Mm.
some differences in it. I think the two people that I worked with they're not just extremely sad, they're on the road. If they, like I said to them both, I can't believe I said it in the same day, because I always try to say this part, because I'm not a doctor or whatever. I always try to say something in front of somebody else, not to embarrass them, but to have like a witness. You know what I mean? Like, but I said it might be a good idea to think about getting a therapist, like to
Mm.
talk you through not the work part, but how you're dealing with it. Like, maybe this isn't for you. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Rick?
Yeah, no. Yeah, to me, like sadness is kind of temporary. You pretty much get over it. Something happened, and you're kind of bummed about it. But depression is usually a long thing, longer lasting. It affects you, starts to affect your life. You don't like a lot of the symptoms you said. You don't even care about if you eat or not, whatever, because you just don't care about anything. Like been there,
Mhm.
done that. So yeah, it's tough. It's tough, and if you don't have anybody to talk to, it's very hard to get out of it. Very hard to get out of it.
Oh, that's a
Mm.
good point, because I was talking about isolating. I was saying that I know that I'm dropping friends. Like, I'm done. Like, if somebody pisses me off now, I'm done. Like, I'm done. Just well, actually, that's not, I think I've always been like that, actually. Sorry, I'm trying to think about that right now. Let me think. I've always been like that, but I guess I've given some people more leeway than not. I'll put it that way. And I just, yeah, I can't take on people's bad energy anymore. Even if I think you're a worthy person and that I feel indebted to you somehow or whatever, I'm now cutting off those people. Like, because I don't owe anybody anything. You know what I mean? And I think that's what I was talking about with these two people, these two staff people too. Like, this might not be for you. That's okay. But going down the rabbit hole where you're that uncontrollably crying at work.
I think there's something else though. Like that could have just been like that little one little piece that just made them snap, kind of thing, you know?
Oh, let me tell you though, one of them, you know, is valid. This is an ongoing problem, and I get it. Like, I understand why they're upset, but I'm not okay with how they're handling it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's why they do need to see a therapist, because a therapist will help them and guide them on how to deal with it.
If you find the right therapist, though, right? That's the other part. It's
Exactly.
always better to find a therapist when you don't need one, because you're clear-headed. You know, I know that's weird, but it's one of those things, like, even if you don't need a therapist, you should know where you could find one and maybe have done that free consultation or whatever. Yeah, I don't know, because I think it's a tough one when you're that desperate to find the right person.
And now you barely get them online. You don't even have to go anywhere. Like, don't they have, like, you could do a Zoom or whatever with
virtual people? Yeah.
And I've seen services where it's like, if start with somebody, you don't like them, switch to somebody else. It's no big deal, you know, until you find somebody you like.
But the problem with that is when you're in crisis mode, that's when it's harder to find the right person, you know. But when you're in crisis mode, you should find somebody anyways, right? Because you're in crisis mode, so that's good. But eventually, start to realize, like, oh, well, maybe this isn't the right person for me, you know. But yeah, I've never met my therapist in person. Never. We always do a Zoom call, huh?
It's nice to have somebody that's objective too. That's not part of the situation. You know, they can look at it with different eyes and stuff. Because if you know, say you go to your mom or something, your mom's gonna be like defending you, and yeah, you must be right and they're wrong, you know, and you're not gonna really get anywhere. But with somebody who's, you know, not involved at all, they're like, okay, I can see your side, but I can see their side too, and maybe we could figure out how we can make this better somehow, and not just be about sides, you know. But let's figure out what we can do.
Well, I think what was interesting was when I spoke to Cynthia, I thought for sure she was going to be like, Carmen, you know how they are. And she wasn't. She was like, you know what? You got to do what you got to do. It's okay. You do what you got to do. This is where you are. Like, she was very therapy-like, very supportive. But you're right. You do want somebody who's objective, or somebody who can see it from a different perspective, or somebody who is fully alert and just thinking about you. I mean, I think that's the other thing too. Like, in my head, while one of them was crying in my face, I'm like, bitch, do you think I don't have a life? Like, do you think I'm not going through something? You know what I mean? Like,
right. Yeah.
We're all dealing with the same shit. You know, like, that's the other part. Like, we're all dealing with the same person that they're dealing with. You know what I mean? And so, but I'm trying to keep it all inside, but I'm not even focusing because I'm in that space too.
Yeah. And we're stronger on some days than others, you know, and we're stressed out on other days than we are more. And just be that one day where you got that combination of you don't feel that strong and you're stressed out, and then you just burst. Like, that's it. Like, then you're like, you look at yourself like, I can't believe I did that. Oh my gosh. But then it's because the dam broke, the water bust through, and it's like, you know, it's tough. It can be tough.
How do you deal with it? Because I know there was one day where you had an incident where you were upset or whatever. And I wondered, like, and I'm not trying to ask if you have a therapist, I'm not trying to get all up in your business, but how do you deal with it? Because it's really hard for you to get out there and go like I think I go and take a walk. I listen to music, you know, I mean, I guess you can listen to music. It's like I can go take a bath and put candles and whatever and try to relax and whatever. And I was thinking about you the other day because I was like, poor Rick. What does he do when he has like a mental breakdown with like whatever's going on? How do you handle it?
I mean, one thing that's cool is I like to escape into fantasy movies, shows, whatever, and I can forget about my life, put it on the shelf for a little while, and then focus on that for a while. And it's like I'm
Scream
not
into a
thinking
pillow.
Scream into a pillow.
no, not that much. I have when I worked my first job at McDonald's, they tell you if you're really, really ticked off, go to the walk-in freezer and throw boxes of French fries around. I've done that. Customers, man, let me tell you, because when you work for them, there's people that think like they're better than you, and they just treat you like crap. And I'm like, can you finish taking care of them? Because I'll be right back.
Why would, wait, I have to back up for a moment. Why would somebody going into McDonald's to eat think they're better than the people working at McDonald's?
You would be surprised. You would be
You see what I'm
surprised.
saying, right? Like, you're going to McDonald's. Like,
I am about to give you food.
I'm
You
confused.
really want me to spit in it? And that's never happened. Just saying.
Wow.
I've
Just
never
like
seen
Jesus
that.
would do, huh, Rick?
I've never seen that happen. 'Cause people ask me all the time, would I do anything nasty? I was like, I've never.
No,
I worked
come
there for 7 years. I've never
I
seen
don't
anybody do anything, nothing nasty, nothing like that, retaliation wise or whatever.
I would never even suspect that because I believe in the best in people. But
Well,
yeah,
if I'm literally serving you, why would you treat me bad? Like, doesn't make sense to me. That doesn't compute.
Mm-hmm.
I think people just, again, it's like if you're not dealing with your own issues, if you're not doing self-care, what I called self-preservation. So that's kind of the difference. I do want to talk about that. But if you're not really taking care of yourself on a regular basis and you don't know yourself well enough, I think you turn around and take things out on other people. And I mean, I have, clients and I've gotten rid of clients for doing this, but they would all the time they talk badly to their staff. Like they talk down to them, kind of like the same thing you're saying. And I was like, yeah, I'm out. I'm not doing this because you actually think it's okay for you to talk badly about people, I think there's two different things though. I think there's self-care, which is kind of what we're talking about, taking moments to maybe, watch a movie or, take a walk or whatever it is, get a massage or whatever, do these little things, listen to music that can but it's also about like self-preservation, knowing when you just can't take anymore. Like I can't take any more energy from other people being upset about something else. Like go deal with that somewhere else because I can't help you. And I don't think people ever want to put that line down, Like if Cynthia had said, Carmen, I can't talk to you tonight, I'd be like, okay. Like I would have, but right, I text you, I asked you, whatever, and I was just like, are you okay? What are you doing? Are you all right? I think
Like,
you
are you
can tell though.
rested?
Like, are
I
you
was like, is everything okay?
I was like, everything is not okay. Do you have a minute? Well, I mean, because that's what a good friend does, though, right? You got it, But today I was talking to Andrea. Actually, she says hi, but just also understanding that it's not just that we're all going through something personally. There's also something in the air right now. You know what I mean? Like it is just really a tough time, especially here in the United States. It's just a tough time because there's so much going on. And that whether you're in tune with politics or not, it is affecting everyone. It is seeping through. And so doing things like not watching or listening to the news all day, I started only getting news. Like I don't get any news on my phone. I don't get any headlines. I don't get any of that. I just get 5 minutes in the morning from an independent journalist that I really respect. And then I get 5 minutes in the evening from another independent journalist because they post at different times. And so that's it. 5 minutes of news. I just want the headlines. That's it. And then trying to not do it at all on Sunday. Like, why is there news on Sunday? Why? You know what I mean? Like there should be no news on Sunday. So even doing that, trying to understanding that there's other stuff happening that is affecting you as well. And even if it's not politics, it's family or whatever.
Yeah. And then there's also seasonal depression that people go through. And, and that's hard too, because it's like, what do you
What
do
is
in the winter
seasonal?
time?
I thought that was a made up thing. Is that a real thing? I'm not saying
No,
it is. Is it a real thing?
it is a real thing, especially in the wintertime. You're stuck in the house, you really can't go anywhere, especially, older people who
Oh,
can't
it's a weather
travel on
thing.
their own. Yeah,
Look at me. I'm like,
yeah.
what? The sun is shining here. What are you? It is a little chilly though here in California.
Well, it's like 18 degrees in Boston.
Is it really 18 degrees?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so seasonal depression is also seeping in a lot of people. Is that a diagnosing thing though? That's a real
Hmm.
thing.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to dismiss it. I just never knew what it was. What?
Especially older people, like
Yeah.
senior citizens, especially. Yeah, like
Hmm.
going back to McDonald's again. Every morning we
What
had
is
this
with you in McDonald's right now?
group of elderly people would come in every morning like clockwork, and I knew all what they
Mm.
the same thing, so I knew what they wanted. They don't have to say nothing. But when winter came, a lot of them didn't show up, and then summer
Yeah.
came, we're back because they get depressed.
Yeah. And a lot of them do mall walking to get their exercise, during the summer and the spring and wintertime. They don't go out. So they do get depressed.
Okay, but we don't want to blanket all older people. Like, I want to be careful. Like, old people depressed all the time. Like, I don't want
Listen,
to do
we're
that.
old too, so.
Yeah, speak for yourself, honey. Now, so do you guys have anything to share? Or I mean, I'm not trying to pressure you, but how are you guys feeling now with everything that's going on? I mean, inspire me, make me feel better. Things are going to be better tomorrow.
I mean, after you read the definition of sadness and depression out, I don't think I've really ever had depression. Sadness, yes.
Mhm.
Everybody goes through their ups and downs of emotions throughout the day. Um, but I think you just kind of roll with the punches and just kind of, kind of try to be positive and
Right.
yeah.
I think that depression is more of a clinical diagnosis, right?
Mm,
I think a lot of people self-describe as being depressed, and I think you can do that, but it is kind of more of a lengthier. You can't, like Rick was saying, like you really can't. You don't get out of bed. You don't want to eat. Like,
mm-mm.
and it's different for everyone. But I do think that's something. I don't know if I've ever been I don't I still am in denial about PTSD. And there are waves of PTSD. So I was diagnosed, and I don't mind sharing this because that's the whole point of having this conversation. I was diagnosed when it was during COVID. I really couldn't walk. My hip that had always had an injury and is the reason why I couldn't dance, really kind of got bad. Not kind of, but it did. It was so bad I couldn't walk at all. It was very painful. And I ended up having surgery, which before I had surgery, I had to go to therapy, not just physical therapy, but it was highly recommended that I go to like
Mhm.
mental health therapy, which I thought was kind of a cool thing that my doctors were having these conversations. But I was also like, who are you to tell me? You know what I mean? But I did, and it was a great thing because what I didn't understand was that I had never dealt with the loss of dancing. And what I like to explain to people now is, you know, losing my mom at 11 was one thing. Uh, Not knowing my father, I still don't know anything about my father was always a thing. So that's like the second thing. But dancing was my thing. And I didn't realize and I didn't grieve that loss, performing. I didn't grieve that loss. And so it's just an interesting thing that is what ended up becoming part of uh, going to therapy and then learning that because of my childhood and how I grew up and what I went through as a kid, that there were certain triggers that were that were able to diagnose me to have PTSD, which, as you all know, I'm still resisting today because I don't even like to talk about it. Um, but but it's not because of the hip surgery. It was because in the conversation of all of that, you know what I mean? I I don't know if depression and PTSD are connected, because I don't think I was ever depressed. I just never dealt with it. I
Mm-hmm.
never dealt with a lot of things that happened to me as a kid, because I always like to see the silver lining, right? All about the joy, always see the positive. Like, but in sometimes doing that, you deny the reality of some of the things that did happen, right? And it's not really denial on purpose. It's because you choose to see the positive. But if you don't deal with, am I losing you guys here?
No.
No,
Yeah.
not at all.
So if you don't deal with it, then it triggers, and that's what was happening. Was I was being triggered, and I couldn't really, like, okay, I haven't shared this with anyone. I mean, Cynthia, you might know. I know Andrea knows, but like, I don't go to the doctor's office and just park my car and go into the doctor's office. I have to go like 2 hours before, and it takes me a long time to convince myself to go into the doctor's office. Now, I never thought that was, now I'm in my 50s. I've never thought that was an odd thing. I really have to take my time. I have to, and and it was easier to cover it with like, oh, well, because of COVID, I want to make sure I'm protected and whatever. But it wasn't that. It's because I have this amazingly fearful thing of hospitals and doctors, but I never shared that. I never talked about that. And so going down that rabbit hole is how you end up figuring out that you haven't dealt with a lot of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but and I say all that knowing that I don't think I was ever depressed, because I never knew that I wasn't dealing with that stuff. But because I didn't deal with the stuff, I had the triggers that put me down the rabbit hole of, I don't know what the right terminology is, but PTSD. I'm in such denial. I'm like, oh, PTSD. Like, oh. But yeah. Andrea was here when an incident happened, because she stayed with me for 2 weeks afterwards. So she was here where I was uncontrollably, in a fetal position and crying, and could not, like, it scared her, you know what I mean? That she ended up calling my therapist at like 2 a.m, whatever. And we almost went to the hospital. And so I've had those incidents happen many times, but I never knew. I'm not saying that I thought they were normal, but I thought they were like my normal.
Mm.
Is that weird? I'm sure it's
No.
weird for you guys to hear.
I don't think so.
Not weird.
Mine
I
was
also see like depression as kind of a chemical imbalance
Oh, I think it
too.
can be, right? That's why people will take medication.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, you said you never really felt like you were depressed. Same here. That, like, yes, I've been sad, but you have gone through whatever traumatic issues you've gone through, which cause you to have these little triggers. So
I like
it's
calling them
hard.
little triggers instead. I'm sorry, Rick.
Because we don't like the term PTSD.
Look, the only reason why is not because to deny it. It's because I feel like I'm being disrespectful to military people. I don't know. It's in my head. I know my therapist, if she's listening now, which she might be, like, explain to me that PTSD is not just about being at war. But for me, for some reason, I feel like it's fake for me to say it. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like it's not, but I'm not trying to be funny. PTSD is a real thing, and a lot of people suffer from PTSD, and it's nothing to be embarrassed about. It's why I'm sharing it. It's why I want to talk about this today, because I think we have to help normalize being human. Like, we're all human. Go ahead, Rick. What were you going to say?
Because we hear PTSD associated so much with military. My brother actually suffers from that. He was in the military. But it's not just for that. People that have been sexually abused or mentally, verbally abused, or all kinds of different things can make you have PTSD. And it's, if you say to somebody that has that and suffers with it, oh, just get over it, you clearly don't get it. You don't just get over a traumatic thing that happened to you. You just can't. So yeah, it's very insensitive to say just get over it. Like, no.
Yeah, I don't. I feel like PTSD for me is something that I've been able to kind of work through. I think that's part of why I also feel bad about claiming it. But you're right. You're absolutely right. And I'm not trying to dismiss it or be disrespectful. Actually, I'm doing the opposite. I'm trying to be very respectful of the term. But I think, like everything else, there's different levels of it. And one of the
Yeah.
reasons that I love my therapist is because at one point she was like, we don't need to talk, twice a week anymore. We can do once a week. And then it was like, let's just do once every other week. And then we were tapering it down. And to the point where it's just like, if I need her, I reach out to her and we make an appointment, and it's, or if I have an issue, we'll deal with it in 3 weeks, whatever. And that's kind of what you want. You want to be able to manage it and have somebody that you can talk to. And there's different levels of it. So you're absolutely right.
Mhm.
You know?
I mean, it's in the word post-traumatic stress disorder. So
Yeah.
it's any type of trauma that you've had is going to cause you stress.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
it's,
I was saying earlier,
yeah.
it's hard to say my whole childhood was probably PTSD because of my very abusive father, very physically and verbally, mentally abusive. And I think it only calmed down when I had my back surgery. Then, I was very, fragile, I guess you could say, because I couldn't, it took me a long time to even get my driver's license because I was still going through, like, I can't turn my neck all the way, whatever. And it was a big deal. He changed a lot once I had the surgery, but before, like, if you just looked at him wrong, bam, like, you just would get it. Like,
Wait, he physically hit you?
oh my gosh, like a bar fight. And I had to just take it.
Mm.
This one, my whole childhood was trauma. Like, I literally think now somebody will say, "Oh, like for example, you're not listening." I think I literally block things out. Like, I don't remember them. I think for my own mental health, I probably blocked things out. Literally, things that happened that I just don't remember.
It's a
So
survival mechanism.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it was tough. And then the only other time, like I said, I really went through something crazy was when I got divorced because I had no clue it was happening. So blindsided by it completely. Got a phone call. Hey, we're getting divorced. Sheriff's coming to your house on Friday. What?
Do
Mm.
you think you've dealt with your father's with that situation? I mean, you talk about it nonchalantly, so it sounds like you've come to some reconciliation with, because that physical abuse is, so forgive me for saying it this way, physical abuse is the easy part. It's the
Mhm.
emotional abuse that comes with that is heart-wrenching. And I'm not saying it's okay to hit people. I'm not. I'm saying you
Mm.
talk to any kid that's been abused physically, and they will always tell you the hardest part is that was my mom or that was my dad. And it's the psychological warfare that happened. So do you think you've dealt with it? I mean,
For the most part, and like you just said, just my dad's mom, you expect that's the person supposed to be protecting you, not to
mm,
do the hurt to you, but preventing the hurt. But they're actually the one doing it to you. But again, I've said this before. He was a very bad alcoholic. And that's when it got really bad, was when he was really, really drunk, which was most of the time. Like, most people have coffee in the morning. He'd have beer in the morning. I'm like, oh, here we go. So
yeah,
yeah, it
you've
was.
kind of forgiven. I mean, I've heard you talk about him, and you've talked about like how you've forgiven him because you understand now that it was the alcohol and not him, and that.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but you've. Mm,
yeah, because there was a period of time where his health was bad. My father passed away, just in case anybody's wondering. But he's had in his entire life 5 heart attacks and 2 strokes. A lot of people die from 1 heart attack. Dude had 5 heart attacks, 2 strokes. He got better over every single one of them except for the last stroke. But at one point he was really, really bad. Circulation was bad. Blah blah blah. He smoked since he was 12 years old, and of course we
oh
got the
my
alcohol on top of that. So his
Oh.
body, I don't even know how. I mean, he had to be strong as an ox. He really was. But the doctor said, your I think it was the left leg. If you don't stop, if you don't change, if you don't stop smoking and drinking, your leg is really messed up, and we might have to amputate it. Well, that got his attention quick because his father did have his leg amputated, same leg.
right.
So he cold turkey stopped everything, like just stopped, and the change was astounding. I was like, "Are you telling me
Mhm.
that if he didn't drink, this is the dad I could have had this whole time?" it was a night and day difference. It was like a whole different person. Got along with him fine, would joke with him, would
Did
not.
he know he was a completely different person not drinking?
No, I don't think he really realized it. No.
Did he apologize to you?
He wasn't a big apologizer.
Mm.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry you went through that because no matter his part in it, you still were abused.
Yeah, and like you were saying, like the physical definitely sucks, but the longer lasting effect is
Yes.
the mental abuse, because he always made me feel like I was an idiot. I didn't know how to do anything right. He would say really, really stupid, gross things like,
You don't
if
need
you
to
ever
say
if
gross.
you ever get married, you ain't gonna know what to do. Like that's
Oh, okay.
a nice way of saying what he said.
Mm.
Mm.
Just that's how he would talk to me, and it's like, wow, really, dude. But then he'd like if he hit me, whatever, he would justify, but like, well, when my father hit me, I flew across the room and there was blood everywhere, and I'm like, so
Wow.
then you should understand. Like,
Right.
what's the disconnect here?
I'm just so like I wish I was there to give you a hug. I just because I can tell like you have dealt with it to the best of your ability, but you're also protecting yourself and you just you were a child. And even if it doesn't matter, no one should be hit for being themselves and for doing the best they can. And I'm just so sorry you went through that.
Yeah, and with my kid, I never hit him. Never. I never had to. Like, he was such a good kid, mostly.
Well, you were a good kid too, Rick.
That's the thing that baffled me. I'm like, I'm trying my best not to do
It
anything wrong.
wasn't you. You
I know.
understand it wasn't you.
Time I didn't know. I was like, maybe it's me because you're a
No,
kid. You don't know
yeah,
better.
you don't know. But and by the way, I'm going to say something that's not going to be nice. The alcohol was problematic, but it also, like I'm pissed that he was drunk and did that. I'm just pissed about it. And I don't care that he was an alcoholic. I care that you were hit. You see what I mean? Like you were hurt and abused. Like I don't forgive him. I don't forgive him. And I don't know him, but I don't forgive him for what he did to you because you did not deserve that.
Yeah. It was
And
tough.
I'm sure you were a good kid.
I was not the bad kid. I did everything right as best as I could. Tried to do good in school. Obey them to the best of my ability. Try to make them happy. But if he was
And
drunk,
it's not about that because, and even when I was growing up, like people were mean to me, people that supposedly loved me and were supposed to take care of me. And it was never about me. I was such a good kid. I was always a good kid. And I was performing. I was in color guard, drum corps. I was like dancing. I was always active. I was in school. I was doing all the things. I was even working at 12 years old at Little Peach. You know what I mean? Like, and I was beloved by everyone else. But the people that supposedly are supposed to love you and take care of you are the people that are hurting you the most. It was never about you. Never about you.
Yep, for sure. But, tell the little kid that.
I am telling the little kid that right now. I'm trying to tell him that. But I'm just saying, like, that's part of it, right? Like, how do you tell your 12-year-old self that you didn't do anything wrong? I mean, that's part of the therapy, right? That's part of, again, I'm not a therapist. I'm not trying to, I'm just saying what I've had to work through is talking to the 12-year-old kid, the 13-year-old kid, the 15-year-old kid, the 17-year-old kid, like the kid that kept not understanding why the world was so like
fucked up.
Well, no, abundant, and then at home was fucked up. You know what I mean? Like the world was like, okay, I'm ready. You know what I mean? And then you'd be at home and it'd be like, what did I do?
And it was like the surgery I had was like it's a horrible thing to go through because like it was bad, but it was a blessing in disguise because after that he never hit me again. He never hit me again because he was.
How old were you when you had the surgery?
15.
Jesus.
Wow.
Isn't it okay? So you had to have surgery in order to not be hit.
Mm-hmm.
But did the emotional abuse continue anyways?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I still think that's worse. Yeah. But you turned out brilliant, not because of that, but in spite of it.
Yes.
You became a loving, kind, beautiful soul and a wonderful energy anyways. And that is an amazing thing. That's a beautiful thing. And that's what I always try to hold on to, that it doesn't matter what I went through as a kid. I'm here now and I'm pretty fucking amazing. I'm just saying. I
Mhm.
know I am. I mean, I have my little flaws, but ultimately, I think
I may be black. I
yeah,
may be a
but yeah, dear God, I'm here. So Cynthia, were you abused at all? No, I'm just kidding. You want to join in? No, that's so sad that I said that, but you know what I mean. Nah. Cynthia had the perfect life.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. I know.
Yeah.
You had your thing, you had your issues, but we don't have to bring them up.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you guys get through work when you're in a situation that is really too hard to deal with, whether it's a coworker, whether it's a boss? I mean, Rick, I know you've had issues with your boss,
Mhm.
and you haven't given us the update on the camera hands, watching your hands work, and he's never brought it up again.
Nope.
So you just ignore his bullshittery. That's what I'm feeling. In a way, it's good because you work from home, and they're in where? New Jersey? Where are they?
Florida.
They're in Florida. So in a way, there is some disconnect. So you can sometimes like just black out the screen or whatever and be like, ah! Right?
You know, I was thinking though today, this guy that he's got to kind of treat him with kid gloves because he gets, who do you think you are kind of person sometimes when he doesn't get his way and he starts yelling. But he brings us a lot of money, so we're trying to let's try to keep him happy because he gives us money, whatever.
It's a tough one.
And but one time he just went off, and I told my boss, I said, "Listen, this guy just cussed me out left, right, up, and down. Like he thought he was my father." And I'm like, "No, I ain't. My dad's dead. I ain't dealing with that no more." So shockingly, he called him. He says, "You will never talk to my employees that way again."
Oh,
I'm like, all right.
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Moment. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so that's good.
Yeah. I was
Mhm.
shocked. I was like, wow.
How did you deal with? I mean, I know how you dealt with some people at your other jobs, Cynthia. Not to put them on the spot, but just in general, when people are just really like you're at your limit and
Mhm.
you're sad, but you're angry and it's gonna bring you down.
Oh, let's see.
You
So
ignore, Rick. Like ignore.
I don't. I try not to ignore it. I will like whatever energy they're giving me, I'm gonna give it back.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So you already know if somebody's snapping at me, I'm gonna snap right back at them.
Yeah.
I've had a few patients do that to me, and sometimes I'll just look at them and I'll just give them a smile, and I'm just like, "Are we done?
Are we done?
Are you?" I, I said to a patient one day because she just kept yelling. I said, "Look," I said, "I'm trying to help you. Are you gonna stop yelling? Because if you're not, then I'm not helping you anymore." I had another lady on the phone. She's just going on and on, and I said, "You need to stop talking so that I can help you."
Oh,
And my big boss was standing right behind me. She just looked like, "Okay." Like I wasn't rude about it, but
right.
you just have to like make your point. But
You know what?
yeah.
I'm actually really bad because I fight back with my clients too much. Like I mean, it's not even the same energy. Like I know that I'm really in a difficult situation because my patience is gone with them. You know what I mean? Like it's really just untenable at this point. But I'm trying to remember that part of my job is to be the kind of center of reasonableness. Like that's my job is to actually help everyone keep the equilibrium. So it's really bad when I'm like at this place like this.
That's because
Um,
you're not happy there. I think if you were happy there, it'd be different. You'd have no problem doing that. But
let's not
because you're not
specific. I have
happy,
like, well, it's not there. It's not, let's not say there because it's four different companies, right? So it's four
oh
different.
well,
I don't love what I do, but I don't know if that I'm not happy because look at it, I make a decent living, right? I mean, I don't know how many people are happy doing their jobs. You and Rick may be, but I just spoke to Andrea today, and if we won the lottery tomorrow, we'd be out. So happy at your job would be like you're working a job you love, and even if you won money, you'd still be doing it. Right? I'm just throwing that out there as a thing. Like if Andrea could cook and travel, I think that would be her happy space. And even though she loves her job, if she won the lottery, she wouldn't do it anymore. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of in that same boat. What I don't like, but you're right, I'm not happy because I hate what I do. It's not them. It's just like I still have the dream. It's kind of going back to the, the triggers and the PTSD and the going back to that. I was supposed to be a performer and a dancer and whatever, and that was taken away from me. And I had to change the trajectory of where I was supposed to go with no guidance, with no help. You know what I mean? So I went to college, I did what I had to do, but it's kind of like not healing that, not grieving that I lost that, or finding another way to do it is probably the problem. That's why we do this show. I mean, that's why I created All About the Joy, right? Because it kind of helps with me doing something that I love to do, which is kind of having a little talk show or having friends that you can hang out with and find the joy in things anyway, right? But you're not wrong. I hate what I do because it's not what I'm supposed to be doing. I can already hear Gary V right now. Like,
joy.
So do you feel like you act a certain way because of that? Because you're not doing what you want to do? And not necessarily because...
You mean when I'm in the office?
Yeah.
What do you mean act a certain way? Like I put on a mask and I'm acting?
No, like you're frustrated with the staff or your boss or whoever, and it's not necessarily because of them. It may be.
Oh no, it's them. It's them. Yeah, no. I understand what you're asking now. No. Because here's the thing I'm really good. No, I'll be so totally straight up. The thing that there's a lot of things I'm good at and there's a lot of things I suck at. And I'm happy to discuss what I suck at. But in this case, when I have to do something, and this is evident within my entire life, I do it 110%. So if I'm being paid a job, like to do a job, whatever it is, I'm going to do it 110% and I'm going to be happy. I think, okay, I'm not going to be happy, but I'm going to do the job well. You know what I mean? And I'm going to do whatever. I think what's actually happening is, I don't love doing this, but I've never loved doing this. But I think people are abusive of my kindness. People are abusive because I am somebody that is approachable and because I am in charge or because I'm the person, then people confuse, like I'm not your friend. Like, I don't care. Like one of my clients, and I love her and she knows who she is. And if she listens to this show, she go, no, I'm not going to say her name. But she's always like, we're going to go for a drink. No, we're not. We are never. And she's like, yes, we are. I'm like, we are not going for a drink. She's like, if we go to this place, so-and-so, because she wants me to travel with her to go deal with one of the other issues we have in another state. She's like, we're going to have to, what are you going to do at night? Like she's adorable and she's funny. I'm like, it's never going to happen. I will be in my hotel room. She's like, you're not going to stay at a hotel. You're going to stay with them. No, I'm not. Like, I am very clear about the boundaries that I have with my clients. You know what I mean? And even though I love that they think we can have a friendship, I make it very clear we do not have a friendship. So one of my clients just found out the other day because he asked me, how did he? Oh, because I had my nails done. And he was like, let me see your nails or whatever. And I'm like, ugh. It was so awkward. Like, what? And I have like polka dots on some of them, whatever. It's like, I was with my niece, whatever. And he's like, your niece? Like a brother, a sister? I'm like, oh my God. So I had to explain, because all this time, all these years, no idea, like anything about my background. What, you have a book? Wait, I don't have a copy of your book. I'm like, your wife read my book. You know what I mean? Your wife's friends read my book. Can I get a copy of the book? I was like, and that's what, you know what I mean? Like, it was funny, but it also, I mean, I've known him, 6-7 years. So I think
Wow.
that's kind of like, I'm really good at putting that boundary, but I think people then abuse that. So in the next breath, he will next week start screaming and yelling at me or other people on the staff that I supervise or whatever, and be upset about something and talk down to people and be cruel and mean. And there's no need for any of that. You can be
Mm.
upset about whatever's happening, but you can talk to people and be like, okay, you know what, this didn't work out. What happened, everyone? There's that way of doing it, or like, I can't believe you people. What's wrong? Like, and having a temper tantrum. I
Oh
can't
my
believe I
God.
pay all you people this money for this, for this. It's like, and people feel this big.
Would it,
And
would it
I
be
think it's
fair to
cruel.
say that what you do for people that have no clue is kind of try to bring order out of chaos?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I do consulting work and basically I manage teams. So yeah, I mean, it goes like, one of the people I work for, I want to shoot myself, is I'm doing something as simple as bookkeeping. Like, here's how
Mhm.
we do the bookkeeping, and here's how we file stuff, and here's how, like, just setting up the office. So it's, and there's like no procedures, right? There's no, so setting up procedures in offices so people know, okay, the mail comes in, who's opening the mail? Because if not, the mail is sitting in a bin, in a mail bin for weeks. And then people like, why is the gas turned off? You didn't pay the bill. You know what I mean? Like, it could be something as
Oh my
simple as
God.
that. And no, I don't enjoy doing this. I'm good at it because I'm very organized and whatever. And then there's like the other clients, they're the same clients I deal with. Like, they don't want to deal with talking to their lawyers or their CPAs. So I will talk to them and then relay information. Or if we have to transfer like, $1 million from this account to another account because they're building a house or they're whatever, I'll handle that with their financial people. Or so it's a big swath, but it's basically being somebody's liaison between them and their staff, or them and their other entities. Do you see why I hate the job?
It cracks me up because I would say for the company I work for now, I think in their mind, they think like, even though we are a small company, but in their mind, they think like, yeah, we run like a big company. I'm like, no, 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 no. I've worked for GE. I've worked for big companies, and the way I'll do stuff, no, this is
Ghetto.
like totally mom and pop. Like, what
Yeah.
are y'all doing? Like, really? Ugh, that can be frustrating. First, because for somebody that likes order and
Mhm.
likes things to be done correctly, the right way, and makes sense, and then have to deal with this, it's like, ugh.
Yeah. I think my clients, yeah, I'm not blaming them for everything. I mean, Cynthia, it's not wrong what you're saying. I mean, I don't love what I do, but I don't love people who are cruel to other people.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what part. Like, you show me who you are when things are bad and when things are wrong. And the reason why I love one of my clients is, it doesn't matter what the problem is, she is always on point and uplifting and kind. So you never want to fail for her. Like, this is what people don't understand. If somebody makes a mistake, you punching down on them and making them feel like shit isn't going to make them not make a mistake ever again. It's going to make them,
It's verbal abuse.
it's verbal abuse, and they're going to make the same mistake over and over again. They're going to be
Hmm.
so nervous and frustrated. And it's like, people don't, and that's
Yep.
part of my job, telling the people that hire me that the reason why your people are making mistakes is because they all fear you, and because you talk like shit to them. Anyway, people don't listen. But when someone makes a mistake, an honest mistake, not a careless mistake, there is a difference. A careless mistake is the mistake you keep making over and over and over again because you haven't learned your lesson. You haven't changed something, right? I'm not okay with careless mistakes. You can make a mistake, but don't make that same mistake over and over and over again, because then I have to
Hmm.
fire you, right? But an honest mistake, and one that you take responsibility for, I actually applaud that. And I'm like, okay, cool. And when you can do that, you help people grow. You help people feel good about themselves. They're human. You're human. Because, by the way, all of my clients make mistakes all day long. And you know what they do? They never take responsibility for it. Never.
Of course. Yep. Of course.
And I'm going to call that shit out every time. Every single time. Every
Mhm.
single time. And I do, you know? But I think that's what adds to the sadness and frustration because I resent, okay, I'll say it that way. I resent the work I do.
Mm. Okay.
I will do it 100%. I go in with a good attitude and I never bring my shit into work. I don't. But would I rather be doing something else? Yes. Yes. In case you didn't hear me. I mean, would you
People in the back.
say for the people in the back? I mean, would you want to be doing something else?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what, Cynthia? Yeah.
Yes.
Do you think it frustrates you that you do the work that you do? And maybe sometimes, I mean, I don't think you bring stuff to work, do you?
Oh God, no. Oh no, no, no. Like I know I do my job very well. I came back and I had to do all this work that the other one did not do, and I did it this whole week
Mhm.
in 3
With
days
joy
actually.
in your heart, with joy
I
and
did.
happiness. But this is what I'm talking about. We have our own stuff we're dealing with, right? Like having to deal with even my client not knowing that I wrote a book or whatever, and him wanting to know, and me not feeling comfortable with him knowing. Yeah, I don't know. You know what I mean? It was just like a weird thing. But then thinking
Mhm.
it was adorable, like he was trying. You know what I mean? Like,
But after like what, 6 years, it's
but there's no reason why he would know because I have that lineup, you know? I don't think him and his wife are talking about my book. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's that kind of thing. Like, oh my God, I read such a great book, you know? But I don't think it's that. I'm just saying, like, you know, like we have our own stuff too. You know, like I came home and I was like, I don't know how I felt about that. And what door did I just open? And now I have to bring him a damn book. He could just buy the motherfucking book. You know what I mean? Like he could afford to buy 20 of them. Why haven't I? And then I go down the rabbit hole. Why haven't I written a second book? Why am I still doing this job I don't like to do? You know what I mean? Like you still, Rick, if you became a millionaire tomorrow, you would still be working for this man?
Nope.
He's like, millionaire. Shoot.
Nah.
You know what would be great? If we could do this on a more regular basis and get paid for it.
Yes.
I mean, that would be cool. You know what I mean? Like,
We'll do this and get paid for it, so why not dream?
I mean, yeah, like we do this and we don't get paid for it, so it would be perfect. Yeah, I don't
Mhm.
know. I mean, we're trying. We're working on it, and I think that brings me joy, you know. But before we end, I just want to ask a few questions. I know I already talked about it a little bit, but I want to talk about things people shouldn't do if they're feeling like they're sad or going down the road of depression. We always talk about things you should do, right? But I want to bring up a couple things. Drinking alcohol. If you're sad
No.
and depressed, I would stay away from the alcohol and the drugging because that is a momentary thing that you think might make you feel good, but inevitably it's not going to help. And it could lead to a very dangerous habit.
Mhm.
My favorite downfall, eating sweets, chocolate cake in particular, I would stay away from, but eating, emotional eating, being sad and eating.
But not only the eating, you're more likely than not to eat junk and crap food. And now you're putting that in your body and you feel sluggish. Now you have no energy, which is already an issue because you don't feel like doing that because you're sad and depressed. You're just compounding. It's making it way worse.
Yeah. So staying away from those things too. But passive doom scrolling or passive TV watching.
The danger of doom scrolling is you don't necessarily know what you're going to see. You might see something that's going to take you off even more because you don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And you can be on doing that for hours. Like, you know, especially when you're upset and angry. Yeah.
Yeah, shock.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Cynthia, you have anything else you want to say?
Yeah, just anyone who's feeling down, don't isolate yourself.
Hmm.
Force yourself to either get out of bed, go for a walk, like you said, listen to music. Like sometimes when I'm upset and I'm coming home from work, I won't put on like, soft music. No, I'll put on some rock or something, and just like let it out that way. Just sing the song, and then afterwards you feel better, then you can change the music to something a little more soothing. But
I think that's good. But
don't.
you know what I was listening to this week? I was like, "Hey Drake, I hear you like 'em young." I was like,
Yeah.
I couldn't get the whole Super Bowl halftime out of my head. It's so funny, but it keeps making me laugh because that face, la cara that he makes, when he's walking by, it's so funny. It's so cheesy. That whole thing is hilarious. Rick, any last words?
Another thing, I don't know if we really brought it up, was exercise can also help a lot
Yeah.
because it literally
Mhm.
releases called endorphins in your body that makes you feel in a good mood.
Yeah.
But I do agree with Cynthia, though. Probably the most important thing is that isolation thing. That's the last thing. I mean, for a
Yep.
minute, okay, but you need to talk to somebody. And if you don't want to talk to a therapist, if you're a church person, pastors kind of do that too. Talk to a pastor, talk to somebody, maybe elderly, that's not
Mhm.
fair. You can, somebody will listen.
Somebody will listen. You got to talk to somebody. It's true.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys chiming in. I know this is a little bit heavier of a subject that we usually do, but I love that we kind of brought it back to joy. You know what I mean? Finding ways through things. And that's a good point. Don't isolate yourself, and you can always come and hang out on Friday nights on the show. We are here Friday nights, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, all about the joy. We're always going to have a game. We're always going to try to laugh and chuckle. And at the very least, you can maybe find some happiness and laughter in our buffoonery. I don't know. That's my new tagline, in our buffoonery. But so check us out on Friday nights. And yeah, thank you everyone for joining us. And remember, at the end of the day, it really is
All about the joy.
Bye, everyone. Bye. Thanks for stopping by All About the Joy. Be better and stay beautiful, folks. Have a sweet day.